What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Tagged Outdoors podcast. I'm your host, Artum Rank. Today, we have a special treat for you guys. We have our good buddy Armando from TheBowHitch, who's going to be chiming in with us, telling us what exactly is the TheBowHitch, how he got started, and how it's going to help you be more successful this season. So without further ado, let's give him a call and dive right in. Hey, how we doing, Armando?
We're doing good, brother. Good. Thank you. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. It's finally cooled off up here up north, which is a odd thing to say for this time of year, without a doubt. But man, it's been so hot and dry, and it's finally in like the high 60s, and sun is shining. It's cool weather. It's already got me dreaming of fall.
Oh, 60 sounds amazing.
Yeah, you're down south, right?
I'm in New Mexico in Albuquerque, and so today we had mid to high 80s, and it was we've had some. We're typically like down in the single digit humidity, but it's been raining and kind of stormy weather here, so we have a little bit of humidity in the air, and that makes it feel like it's 100 degrees. But it's still been good. No complaining, but it's not 60. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm not one for tolerating the heat myself, but it is what it is. You know, it takes all kinds, and more power to you for being able to be down there, because I know it's only going to get hotter later this year.
Oh yeah, we're barely getting warmed up, dude.
Well, anyway, I gave an intro. I kind of told some people a brief idea about what we were going to be talking about today, and I guess the main thing is you are the founder, you're the owner of TheBowHitch, and we really want to kind of dive into that, just start right out with it. I want to know the backstory. Anytime I find a new product or even an existing product or whatever it may be, especially within the hunting community, I love to hear stories of how people got started with it, because sometimes it's just such a blip on a map and you never know what it could be. And it just, I want to hear your side of that.
Cool. Yeah. Happy to share that with you. It's myself, and I have a partner in the business. His name is Doug. So we're 50-50 in the company, and him and I, collectively were able to create TheBowHitch. Where it stems from is a work relationship. Doug and I are both. I just recently retired from the fire department. He was working not with me at the time. I retired out of the arson investigations office, and that's the first time I went hunting with him. He was out in the field on a truck. But to bring the story together, he was a fireman, I was a fireman. We met up, talked about this hunt. He invited me to stay in his camper and go with him. So this was actually the first time I hunted with Doug. And I had never been to this unit. I drove in the middle of the night. I got there like 2 a.m, said he'd hunted it before. This is the area we're going to be. And that's about it. It was a late season elk hunt, so it had to be a 6-point on one side or better. And I had never hunted the late season. It was a December hunt. So all of this, new country, new late season hunt, and this is archery equipment. And
yeah, that makes it, makes it so fun, but so challenging at the same time. Like, some people think when they go into these new units or anything like that, they kind of have a expectation set. And I love going into them with no expectation whatsoever, kind of just enjoying the moment. But if it turns out successful, it just makes it all the better.
It's a bonus. Yeah, no doubt. So anyway, yeah, I get up, we walk out in the dark, and finally the sun starts coming up, and I'm like, holy shit, this is steep. Like the country was super steep. I started, the good thing is we could glass quite a bit, so I was able to glass and get to different spots, and we were turning up bulls. I never turned up anything that had 6 on one side, but I did see, a handful of bulls. He went one way, I went the other. And we just hunted our butts off for the day without seeing each other until the afternoon. And when I ran into Doug, he had his bow hanging from something on his backpack. And I was like, dude, like, what the heck are you doing? What is that? And he's like, oh, it's just this thing that, we've been made and been trying to use. And him and his uncles had been trying it out. And anyway, I was like, damn, that's a pretty great idea. So the concept, that's where the concept of TheBowHitch was born. We're nowhere near close to even remotely what he was using, but the concept itself is where it was originated that very day. So, we finished our hunt. Neither of us killed anything. He got into a group of 5 bulls within archery range, and none of them had 6 points. So I never even saw a 6 point bull. He got into them. He got close enough to kill bulls, just none of them were big enough. But and anyway, we finished our hunt, and I'm like, Doug, that thing is genius, dude. Like the concept of your bow hanging from your backpack is amazing. So, you need to do something with it. And he said, well, we've talked about it, and I've thought about it, but I've never done anything with it. So I was like, well, yeah, I think it's a wonderful idea. You should probably run with it. So fast forward every year for 3 years, I asked him, Doug, you doing anything with that thing? No. Have you done anything? No. Have you done anything? No. So finally, after 3 years, I tell him, all right, man, if you're not going to do anything with it, I would like to do something with it. Like, I would love to have you in with me. Like something has to happen because there's a need for it. Like it was too freaking cool to watch you do that thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, yeah. So he was like, well, if you want to do it with me, I'd love to do it with you. So I said, well, there you go. So we shook hands that day, man, and said, well, we'll figure out how to make it work. And
cracked a few beers and then let the ideas start flowing.
Yeah, well, it gets to that pretty much. So we made an agreement. Well, we'll try to figure out a way to make it work. And honestly, I don't even know how long it was after. It had to have been sometime from December to September of the next year, because I had an archery elk hunt the following September. So somewhere in between December of the previous year and August is when I made my first one. I thought about it, and I was like, well, what's wrong with what he has now? What he had now made some noise. It was 2 connecting pieces, and I didn't like the way it sat because it kind of sat vertically.
Right.
And so I was thinking, well, if I could change the fulcrum and put a balance point to where it's closer to the D loop, then I could have the bow sitting flat and whatever. So this is like one of the old school stories where I drew it on a napkin on my dinner table, and I still have the napkin. And I said, well, what it needs to do is come and offset and this and that. And so I drew the damn thing, dude. And I went and I ordered some parts that I thought I was going to need off of the internet, and then bought a piece of sheet metal. And one day I was like 5 beers in and decided, well, fuck it. Now's a good time as any. So I went to the garage and I got my angle grinder out and I cut what I had scribed on that napkin. And then I got my drill out and pulled my bow out, got some pilot holes going, and figured out roughly what I was going to need to do and did it. And the rest is history, man. I took it hunting that September, and the guys I was with, two of my buddies that I hunt with, and they were like, what is that, dude, hanging from your bow?
Oh, yeah.
And so I showed them how it worked, and at the time, it was just the bow hitch. I didn't have a way to attach it like the way we do now. So I was just hanging it from my bino harness and from my backpack. And by the end of the hunt, they were like, dude, you should have made me one. They were in love with it. And that's the start of the bow hitch. That's exactly how it happened. And it's been a wild ride ever since.
Alcohol, power tools, and napkins. That's what starts the bow hitch.
Dude, that was it. That was it.
That's awesome, dude. I love to hear it. I know last year when I got mine, I was sitting there thinking, and I'm like, it's a cool idea. I'm not sure how much I'm going to use it, but I put it on there, and I'm like, I'm going to be 100% in on this. And after I got to using it, I was like, I don't know how I've hunted so many years without actually having this. It is such a game changer.
It's honestly that. It's just such a simple thing, and the hard part is explaining it to people. Like the people listening, if you've never seen the bow hitch, you're like, what the F are you talking about?
Yeah. How would you yourself personally explain what the bow hitch is? Because obviously you would probably be the best person to ask.
I'm probably the best, but that doesn't mean I'm good at it, because it's been a hard thing to do. So the bow hitch is a piece of 14 gauge steel that mounts to the outside of your sight or directly to your riser on the new bows. So what this bow hitch does is you attach it to your bow. It stays on your bow. One end has an opening on it, that attaches to a strap that we put on your backpack. Once you marry one to the other, the bow remains in your shooting hand. So you're not carrying the weight of the bow, but it's always on your shooting side. So if you see something and you want to come up for a shot, all you do is grab your bow, slide it up, slide the bow hitch off, and you're ready to shoot. So I guess like I said, I'm still not good at explaining it because until somebody sees it, they don't understand it. But let me
So,
give you an analogy. Let me give you an analogy that I think is the best analogy there is for it.
oh, I'm
The,
ready
the,
for it.
so tell me if you think this in my head it sounds good. It could sound like shit, but the bow hitch is like a door stop. So you have your standard door. It's a door that anybody has. They all work, relatively the same. Some open this way, some open that way, righty, lefty. So I equate this to a bow. Like they come in many different shapes and sizes. However, the bow hitch attaches to this door, or the door stop attaches to the door. It's there when you need it, and when you're not using it, you don't even notice that it's there.
No,
But when you need it,
I think that's a
when you need
perfect
it,
analogy, honestly.
you're like, holy shit, I don't know how I would have done so long without a doorstop. Like this is genius. Why wouldn't you have a doorstop?
Yeah, you're sick
So
of your door running into your drywall all the time. And this is
yeah.
essentially preventing that. Instead of constantly
So
having to redo your drywall, you just put a door stop on and that be that.
so yeah. Well, I was thinking of the door holder, like to open it, to keep it from closing on you. That's what I mean. It's always attached to your door. Am I thinking the wrong? Am I saying the wrong thing? A door? Yeah, a door holder.
I think we're
that whole,
both in the same
so,
principle.
Yeah, you get it. And I think the listeners will get the one that's on the bottom of the door that you kick down when you wanted to hold it open.
Absolutely.
So,
So for a
anyhow,
visual representation, I know you got a website. Why don't you go ahead and tell them exactly what it is? Because you have great instructional videos on how to use it, what to do, kind of how it looks, and that whole perspective in that. Just since we gave an analogy about doors, and I don't want people to think they're going to buy a bow hitch and get a door.
Right. So the bow hitch is a piece of 14 gauge steel. You could see it at TheBowHitch.com or on our Instagram page at TheBowHitch. Once you see it, you're going to say, okay, I get it, totally get it. It's a piece of 14 gauge steel. It weighs 3 ounces, in between 3 and 4 ounces. We have 3 different sizes, and I could get into the sizing later. It's super, super simple. But it, like I said, it mounts to the outside of the sight or directly to your riser. So in no way, shape, or form are we adjusting anybody's sight, messing with their bow at all, other than adding this piece to it. So you can add 3 ounces of weight to your bow and not have to carry your bow for the rest of your hunt, or you can
Right.
just carry your 7-pound bow for the next 7 days.
Yeah, and that's what it was so awesome to me. It's in the bow hunting community as a whole, or for, adding on to your bows, people get kind of nervous about it, but it's so lightweight, it's so low profile. Once you get it on there and you've shot it a few times, target practicing in your house, anything like that, you almost forget it's there until you need to use it. Your arm gets sore and you're like, oh yeah, that was the whole purpose of putting this thing on here.
That's it, dude.
And then it just locks in and it becomes like a muscle memory thing. I went down to Nebraska this past fall. I think it was actually September for the mule deer season. And running around in the sandhills in 100-degree heat, the last thing I had wanted to do was carry my bow around. My arm was getting tired, and I'm like, why am I carrying this thing? Makes no sense. I've got the bow hitch on here. I put it right in the sling, and I had it on my backpack for a while, but I kept cresting over all these hills, so I'm like, I'm just going to take that strap and put it on my bino harness, and it worked phenomenal. I could have my bow over there. I'd crest these knobs. I'd glass right over the top to see if there was a bedded mule deer, and if there was, immediately my bow was right there, ready for me, so that when I crested, I was already ready to shoot. I had my ranges. I had everything else figured out, and it was, like I said, it was just an absolute game changer with having to set it down, and the next thing you know is you reach down and grab a cactus, and then your whole hunt's ruined because you're miles in there in 100-degree heat. You're just getting pissed off, and this basically evicted all of that.
Dude, it's as simple as that. So once people, like, you will never have to put your bow down in the dirt again. So as an archer who is out in the field and hunts anywhere on their feet, like, think of how many times you put your bow down, whether it's to glass, to take a leak, to use your GPS, to make a call, open a gate, jump a fence, whatever it is, like you put your bow down a lot. So this alleviates all of that. You don't have to worry about limbs and grass and dirt and grime getting into your cams and into your strings because your bow's always next to you. And for that happen chance where you do crest the hill and you don't want to put your bow down and then come up with your binos and then have to go back down, like, it just eliminates all of that, man.
Yeah, I think that's what's made my bow hunting experience so much better in it, just as a whole. I mean, I would consider myself a fairly hardcore archer, or at least somebody that is out with my bow quite frequently. However you want to label that, let it be.
Right.
When I was able to alleviate setting my bow down in general, it's helped me so much. It has changed the game of bow hunting for me. That's what I find as like the biggest benefit. And there's those chances, like you say, those spur of the moment happenings when you're out hunting that, you look back on, you're like, man, that was a missed opportunity because I just wasn't ready, but it was only 1, maybe 2 seconds difference. This makes that 1 to 2 second difference. And instead of a story of you talking about that big buck running away, you're talking about running away with an arrow in him.
Yes. Well, dude, just think of the amount of movement that it takes to get your bow from the ground up.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
From your backpack out, or from a sling to unsling it, and then to come to a shooting position. So there's nothing like it. The bow hitch is designed to keep you hunting, and some of our slogans when you go to our 3D shoots that we're at, it says for hunting, not hiking. If you're walking in the dark, I don't care how you carry your bow because you're not hunting.
Right.
But when the sun is up, you want your bow in a position where you can shoot it as quickly and as silently as possible. And that's what we provide. That's kind of what we pride ourselves on is, when you're hunting, you use the bow hitch. When you're hiking in the dark, like I said, or whatever, you put on your backpack, put it on the bow sling, put it on whatever you want. And the bow hitch works with all of them. It doesn't interfere with anything. So if you enjoy putting it on your backpack or in the sling, do that when you're not hunting. And then you can utilize the bow hitch while you are hunting.
Oh, without a doubt. And right now it's June, and there's a lot of archery shoots happened already or that are going to be happening. And I think right now is a great time for somebody to get their hands on one because, like you say, carrying your bow sucks. It really does, especially for long durations. Not to just sound like an ad here for you, but it does. At the end of the day, it sucks. And for anybody that's done those 3D shoots or has been considering to start getting into them, there's a lot of topography, or even if there's not topography, there's a lot of miles that you're walking around to shoot at every different station, every different site, whatever it may be. Having that bow hitch so you're not having to carry it in between every station is like, I just can't express it enough. It's such a game changer. It really is. And then when you can kind of practice with that in these archery shoots around your house, whatever it may be, and it folds right into hunting season itself, you're going to make your experience bow hunting so much better.
Dude, those 3D shoots are the real deal. I recommend them to anybody, especially if you're coming out west for the first time, because you'll get a taste of elevation and what it's actually like to come up and down these hills and what side healing feels like and what carrying your bow, like the inconvenience of it. So we go to quite a few. We go to the Mountain Archery Fest, Hike to Hunt, to several TACs. We haven't been out east very much, but we did hit Oklahoma this year, San Antonio, and the two we have ahead of us are the TAC just west of Denver as well as in Utah.
No, that's awesome, man. I'm so pumped to see it going around. I know when I have mine on my bow, I'm here in Michigan, and everybody that I'm showing it to asks the same thing, and word of mouth goes so far. And they're like, what is that? And I show them exactly what it is, and they're like, oh, dude, I got to get one of those.
Yeah, dude, Michigan, we got to make it out to Michigan. We're looking at it for next year, put it on the map, because you guys have tons of hunters out there.
Oh, we're one of the most populated states for hunters. I believe us in Pennsylvania are always, I know for a fact, we're always in the top 5. I'm not sure where we were sitting this year, but bow hunting's becoming bigger. We've always had a massive influx of hunters to begin with, but a lot of people are starting to shift to bow hunting, finding out the benefits to it. And, you get to be out there earlier. You get to have a little bit more time in your season. Weather's generally nicer. I mean, there's a lot of benefits to it. And if you guys are out this way, I mean, I'd I can't wait to see you guys come out this way. We definitely got to link up, whether it be just for a shoot or a show or have you guys come up here and hunt. I mean, we can work something out without a doubt.
Yeah, I look for. I've never killed a whitetail, man. I've never been whitetail hunting.
What?
Yeah, from New Mexico. We don't have a. We have a few. We have the cruise deer down south on the Arizona-Mexico border, and then we have a small number of your traditional whitetail that come over from Texas. And so my daughter was able to kill one of those just by happen chance. She had a deer tag that was good for either species, and we saw this whitetail and we were able to get on him, and she killed it. But yeah, I personally never have.
Well, we're going to have to change that. And I'm sorry to tell you right from the get-go right now, I am going to ruin you because as soon as you, I'm telling you, man, as soon as you see a buck come running through the woods, which is going to be different enough, and the flat land and kind of the leisureness, I don't know if that's a word, but we're going to run with it, of hunting whitetails, and for you being your first one, not having to be as picky, and finally like beating them at their own game in their home and knowing that you beat them with a stick and a string, you're hooked. I mean, that's it.
Yeah,
it's over.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Yes.
Cool, crisp fall. There's no 80
Yeah.
degrees. You're out there in 30s to 50s. I mean, even below then. But we definitely got to link up, figure something out. I'd love to have you come up. I'll put you right in one of my stands that I know produces. You want to shoot a doe, you whack it. We have a massive doe problem right now, especially with the areas in Michigan, kind of along the coastlines that are becoming overly populated with people in new builds and all this and that. And I know you and I had talked about this prior to this podcast and talked about even potentially doing a giveaway to where if you shoot a doe, to send it in, and each doe that you shoot will get you entered for a point towards a bow hitch giveaway.
Yeah, I want to do a package for you guys. So that's exactly what I want to do. We'll put up a post. You guys can, however, we can put it up. We'll figure that out later. But you guys keep your eyes out to help with the doe population. Like you guys kill a doe, and I know you guys get several tags. Like here in New Mexico, we get one tag per species. And we don't even have units where you can kill those. So, like, our numbers are nowhere close to what you guys have.
Yeah, but, ours right now are beyond what you'd think. I can get, I believe it's 10 doe tags per year per person. And that's, you think of a family or whatever, or let's say you got a couple brothers or a sister and whatever that all hunt, family members, whatever it is, you get 3 or 4 people per family. And if you were to buy every one of those tags, you're talking 30, 40 does. And don't get me wrong, shooting a buck, shooting a nice buck, any of that is always a riot. I mean, there's always a little benefit to it, and I can see why people aren't targeting does as much. But to keep the population in check, it needs to be done. It needs to be had. And I'm not going to lie to you, watching one of those arrows fly through the hide of a whitetail, at that moment, it doesn't matter if it's a doe, if it's a 150-inch whitetail, or a 85-inch whitetail. You are just as excited. And that's the cool thing is when you get your license, you actually get 2 buck tags as well on top of upwards of 10 doe tags. And each tag charges you a little bit, but I think it's like $20 per doe tag. So it's really not that bad. And what I do is I'll go through and I'll actually donate some of the meat, because you think about it, and 10 deer alone for any individual sounds like a lot. And I think that's where there's a little bit of that kind of hesitation in shooting does, because if you shoot your 2 bucks, that's a lot of meat in its own. But there's plenty of places that do a sportsman against hunger program where you can donate that meat as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, super cool. Dude, and the experience you get from being in the field that much and drawing back on that many animals, you're going to learn a lot, man. You're going to learn a lot about yourself and about your equipment.
Especially if you're using a bow hitch.
Yeah, and the bow hitch won't hurt, I promise. Dude, I don't know have you seen our 2A bow sling?
I actually haven't seen that yet.
No, okay. Well, you're gonna have to get on the website too. So the 2A bow sling is your standard AR-15 rifle sling.
Okay.
Can you picture that?
Yeah, I'm picturing it right now.
And so instead of that single point attaching to your AR-15, it attaches to the bow hitch.
That's
so
awesome.
If you're not wearing a backpack or your bino harness, They're just shooting in the backyard, or better yet, for you Eastern hunters, if you're up in a saddle, you no longer have to reach up and into the tree with all of that wasted movement, because your bow hitch is now going to be exactly on your left-hand side, like if you were hiking with it.
And that is, I mean, that's perfection in its own, because you mentioned the saddle hunting. Let's say you go on public land, you can't put in screw-ins, so you can't even really reach upward. You know, you can't put any damage to the tree. So having that sling, especially having it that ready, is only going to benefit you again. One more thing that's going to help.
As you pivot around that tree, your bow's always on your left-hand side or your right-hand side, whatever. I'm right-handed, so my bow will always be on my left. No matter lefties
are weird.
I pivot on that tree. Yeah, we take care of them, but they are weird.
I only had to throw that in there because I got a couple buddies that they do just about everything right-handed except shooting their bow. They shoot it left-handed. So if you can make sense of that, you let me know.
I won't even go there.
But no, that's awesome, dude. I'm excited to see that for sure. I'll definitely be checking in, probably be getting myself one not very long after we're done on this conversation.
Yeah, I'll mail you one so you can try it and go to a tree, because just like I've never hunted whitetails, I've never been in a tree.
That's so crazy.
It's good. It's a whole new world. The first time I went to the ATA, I was like, dude, every freaking stand is a tree stand, you know, booth, or whatever. And it's just, like when Doug and I started the Bow Hitch, we were kind of talking about, okay, our demographic is definitely only a Western hunter, like west of the Mississippi, Colorado, Utah, New Mexico, Nevada, Arizona, and that's about it. Like we kind of handcuffed ourselves to our beliefs on who would be able to utilize it. And oh my gosh, man, we get the majority of our orders are actually coming, you know, east of the Mississippi, out into Canada. We've shipped to Finland, to France, to Australia. Carrying your bow sucks no matter where you're at.
That's a fact.
We learned that. Yeah.
No, and that's awesome. Everyone thinks that the Western experience is the only place you're going to get the spot and stalk idea for hunting game. And I'm going to tell you right now, years and years ago, I got into spot and stalk for whitetail, especially through standing corn, which a lot of people just completely overlook because it has a pretty high difficulty to it. You're going to fail probably 9.7 out of 10 times. And I say 0.7 in there because whitetail love to make you look a lot dumber than what you are, even if you think you know what's going on.
Okay.
You can be the best whitetail hunter in the world, but they're still going to make you look dumb. I promise you. Okay. And stalking through corn, that was another thing that was huge for me, is you basically can play your wind and creep up through these corn rows. And a lot of the time when the corn is standing, they're bedded down inside there. So if you can actually play it, and it's a very slow pace game until it comes to the point of the shot. Well, creeping through that, you get sick of holding your bow because, like I say, to hit one cornfield, one small section of the cornfield, if you're doing it right, you're probably spending 2 to 3 hours slow creeping through each one of these rows. And
that's a long time.
Right, and it sounds boring because a lot of the time you're not seeing much, but just that one time that you think you see a little lump of brown bedded down inside there will immediately raise your adrenaline. It gets you all fired up because when you see it, it's probably within 50 yards already. You're going to try to close that distance to 20 to 30 yards. And then at that point, you're going to find out, is this a buck that I want to use my tag on? Is this a shooter buck? Is it a doe? Like, what's your program for what you're doing? And finally, you can catch them sleeping and find out. I've actually taken probably 3 or 4 bucks using that manner that were all 140 plus class whitetail, which is a pretty nice whitetail for Michigan.
Dang.
And these are the same bucks that I've hunted in a tree that have made me look beyond stupid. Thinking I know their program, thinking I know when they're going to come out, playing my wind, doing everything right for a month and a half straight. And then finally I'm like, you know what? I'm sick of this. I'm just going to go down there and see if I can kind of creep through and catch one. And sometimes it works. Other times I blow them out and have to go with a different strategy. But being able to have my bow hitch on throughout that entire process has made it so much easier. Like I say, it's right at my hip and I can creep through. And then when I do see the lump, I'm already in glassing mode, can figure out if it's a shooter. And then there's so little movement to be able to reach down and grab my bow and take that shot.
That's it, man. Like there ain't nothing to it, guys. Like if you're listening, there's nothing to it. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, give me a message. We'll take it back. Like we're so confident in it. Just like when we go to the 3D shoots, we'll give everybody a free demo. You want to take it, take it. Because once you put it on, we typically like at the 3D shoots, we'll say, hey, free demo. You want to try one out? Make sure you like it before you take it out. We'll put it on their bow. We'll put the demo color on. I buy bright orange ones. That way they remember they need to come back and pay for it or whatever.
Right.
And so typically they walk around. We put it on. I adjust it. I adjust the shoulder strap for them that goes on their backpack, and they're like, dude, let me just have a black one or a tan one or a green one because I know I'm gonna like it. With that, I don't want to try to oversell it to anybody, but if you want to try it, I'd love to send you one. And if it doesn't work, you let me know. But you got to let me know why it didn't work for you either. We've been in business for 3 years, and I had my first one come back, and it was a whitetail hunter. And he said, when I'm climbing up the tree, I really like having the 2 attachment points that my other sling has. Because I asked him, I'm like, dude, please, like, if you don't mind, please, would you mind, just giving me a rundown as to what didn't work, what you didn't like, whatever. And he said, it works great when I'm just cruising around, but when I'm going up the tree, I want 2 attachment points. So cool. I appreciate it. Like there's always room for improvement. So all feedback is good. Constructive criticism, but in 3 years we've had one come back.
Yeah,
so,
I'm gonna call bullshit on that one, to be honest with you, man, because coming from a whitetail idea, it is kind of ridiculous that was the reason it was sent back. That guy should have kept it. He is going to use it. Guy, gal, whatever it is, I guarantee you they order another one over time, because when you're going up your tree, more often than not, you're not having your bow on your backpack or anything like that. You have some kind of string aid that's going to bring it up or down. And there's not even the need right then and there because, like you say, it's made for hunting, not hiking. Well, it's the same thing for climbing the tree. And I think that they made a terrible decision sending it back, but that's just me. Yeah. I'm not overselling it. I promise you I'm not. It's just because I was kind of skeptical at first, and it has proven itself time and time again to me that I just don't understand how it's not a standard.
Dude, that's I don't know if you've heard of the Elk Bros, but they're really awesome dudes out in New Mexico. They're kind of all across the country now, but they do a real good podcast and like elk hunting, Blue Collar Elk Academy, and they're pretty well known out here. Awesome dudes. But we got linked up because he was like, man, this thing is amazing, and like you said, it's going to be standard. That's what he told me, and that's one thing that really stuck with me is he said, this is going to be like the stabilizer. A lot of people didn't think, I don't need a stabilizer. I don't need this, but
right.
It's going to come standard on every bow in the future. It just doesn't make sense not to have it.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. And I think we're headed in that direction as well. You'll have always your people who, whatever, like everybody has their opinion on something, but as a new company, it's just, I'm learning to just accept that it takes time and really, it does. People have to trust it. You got to see the Google reviews and you got to hear, 20 people tell you that they love it before you're like, oh, okay, cool. I think I'm going to go ahead and try it. So, but we're definitely getting there, man. We're on our way.
Yeah, no doubt, especially like you say, you're sending it different countries. People are finally starting to hear about it. I think it's going to blow up to be something huge. I've told you how many, I can't even count the number of experiences I've had myself with it. What do you think your best experience thus far has been with it?
Oh man, I was in Maui 2 years ago, and we got to go on a family vacation. Well, we were supposed to go the year before, right when COVID hit, for a bachelor party. And so this bachelor party was supposed to be in Maui. We were supposed to go hunting while we were there. So everything got canceled, dude. So we had to reschedule. And so when we rescheduled, my wife and my buddy's wife that I was going with, was a group of us, but they were like, well, shit, we want to go to Hawaii. We've never been to Hawaii. So
yeah,
we
who
planned
wouldn't?
it for, So it was dude, it just worked out so good. We went, so we planned a week with our families. We were all together for 7 days. And then the guys stayed another 3 days to go hunting. So we got to hunt. We went hunting on the Big Island. We killed some big what are they called? Corsican rams.
Mm-hmm.
Just freaking beautiful. Had an epic experience over there. And then we came back to Maui where we were hunting axis deer. So I'll tell you one of the experiences, and I got to kill 2 bucks over there. But this particular day was following a day where I had stuck one and couldn't find it. I lost it in a boulder field.
Oh, and that, I
And,
mean, part of
and
bow hunting,
dude,
but it
oh,
sucks.
it's miserable.
Just
So
gut wrenching.
oh my gosh, dude, it makes me sick to think about it. So, eh, so I got my days messed up. So I shot that deer like probably about 8:30 in the morning, stuck it, found the blood, and then lost the blood, and then stayed on it. I found it again, dude, and I tracked that thing until 4 in the afternoon, and finally the guys were like, "Dude, I'm sorry, but I got to pull you out of there. Like it's been a long day. If you haven't found them yet, I'll try to take the dogs in there and we'll go look the next couple, but you got your flight and all that stuff." So I had to go back, pack up my bags, put all my shit away. They drop me off at the airport. We give, high fives, hugs, all that stuff. They leave, and I'm at the ticket counter, and the lady's like, "I'm sorry, sir, but I don't see you on this flight." And I'm like, "Well, I know I have a flight. Like, this is my ID, is my itinerary, whatever." And she's like, "Sweetheart, your flight doesn't leave till tomorrow night."
Oh,
So I was like,
God.
oh my God. So I got to call my buddies. They pick me up, take me back home, give me all kinds of shit.
Oh, I'm
And,
sure.
yeah, so that next morning, I'm like, well, cool. I'll go hunting with these other guys. The owner of the property, he tells me, he's like, "Well, where's your bow?" And I'm like, "No, man, I stuck one yesterday. I feel terrible, and he's like, "Go get your bow." I was like, "No." And he's like, "I'm telling you, go get your bow." He said, "The only thing is, you're going to have to hunt by yourself because we already have plans for the day." So I was like, "Fuck, I could live with that. Like, that's even better for me."
Yeah.
So he lets me out by myself, tells me, "Okay, you're going to hunt off this field. The deer are probably going to be in this area. They're going to kind of do this thing. We'll pick you up later." Get out of the truck. So I'm like, okay. So,
It's
dude,
just secluded.
textbook, like he tells me, I get out, it's dark. I don't know if you've ever heard an access deer, but they make like a super unique noise. And so I'm hiking down this kind of like a drainage ditch, if you will, and I start hearing them. And I'm hearing them, and I'm like, "Oh man, the wind is good." I'm creeping in closer. Anyway, I guess I get too close in the dark, and they bark at me. So I'm like,
Oh,
"Oh shit!" So I stop. I wait for the sun to come up a little bit more. I could hear more up ahead of me, so I'm creeping through, and I start to catch movement up ahead of me in this field. I'm using the bow hitch. I put my bow on the bow hitch. I grab my binos. I'm looking through. I'm ranging. I'm seeing what I see. Pull up some horns. Okay, wonderful. Sneak up. Get to a spot where I want to be. Get into a position where I'm about 100 yards away from these deer. They're feeding kind of towards me, but kind of going into the thick. So I sit there for, I don't know, 5, 10 minutes, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, dude, you need to make something happen. Like, I don't see any more deer in the field. If you don't kill these ones, you're not going to kill shit. The day's going to be over." Like
then
all
you're
these
going to
things that
actually
go,
be on the
oh,
flight you were supposed to be on with
yes,
no chance at all.
empty. Yes. So, oh my God. So all these things run through your head, and it's just bananas, dude. So I'm like, okay, let's go kill them. So I get up, I start stalking them. I get like 20 yards closer. I'm like to 80, and I run out of cover. And they still don't know I'm there. I got great wind. Sun isn't really up yet. And I'm like, "Dude, just be patient." Like he said, they're probably gonna work this trail up. Just you need to relax, dude. So I matrix it, and I go backwards, and I go back to the exact spot that I had just been sitting in, and I'm waiting for them, and they start coming across, and they're feeding towards me, feeding towards me, feeding towards me, and there's a doe and then a buck behind her, and for whatever reason she stops and starts feeding, and he just keeps coming, and so he comes behind a tree at 20, and I draw back, I'm at full draw, and he comes to like 17, 16,
Oh.
15, 14, dude, 12. So if you could picture you're sitting down up ahead of you, the deer are hard left, and there's a row of trees and a field in front of you. So I draw back at 20 hard left, and then as they come, I just keep pivoting to my right, and as soon as he gets right in front of where I would have been, like if he was sitting in a chair looking forward, he gets to right there. It has no idea I'm there, and I fucking zip him right behind the shoulder. Clean path through, my arrow sticking out on the other side, or
Oh,
stuck
that's
in the
beautiful.
grass. Oh, dude, I was so happy. So I lose my shit. I, do a little Instagram video, try to
Dancing a
record for
little
a minute.
bit.
I hang out for a little bit, and then I'm like, all right, well, shit, let's go get him.
Yeah.
So I go get my arrow. I get on the blood. I start stalking through this grass is probably like hip height, and in Hawaii the wind is always blowing. So
Right.
you have hip high grass that's just whipping back and forth. It's so hard to just stay on the blood in there because it's just never ending movement. And I get vertigo, so it's like totally jacking me up with all this back and forth movement. So anyhow, I'm on the blood, I'm on the blood, I'm on the blood, and then all of a sudden I see his horns come up out of the grass.
Oh.
So I'm like, oh shit, he's still alive. So I get down, I snap my bow onto the bow hitch. Him and I are kind of like prairie dogging. Like he'll look back and then he'll look forward and I'll sit up and then he'll come up and then get down. But the grass is so tall, I don't have a clean shot on him. I have no play, dude. So I'm just sitting there waiting for him. Finally, at one point, he and I both kind of get up to get a good look at the same time, and he boogers out.
Oh.
So yes, he runs. I see where he runs. I get back on his blood. I gave him another hour. Then I get back on his blood, and he comes to this one area where the vegetation kind of changed. It was really weird in the middle of this field. I don't know if it had got rotted or what, but lost his freaking blood, dude. So finally, after about probably 2 hours of looking, the other guys were done hunting in the morning. They call me up and I tell them what happened, and they're like, well, we have to go do something else, so I'll drop off one of the guys to help you. And there's one of the guys from here, a good friend of mine, Daniel. And so Daniel gets dropped off. I tell him what happened. We retrace our steps. I show him where I had gridded. I hadn't gridded one section just because it was kind of towards the road, and I didn't think it was going to run towards the road. So long story short, him and I regrid what I did. Nothing happened. So he's like, well, I mean, we haven't done this. Let's go do this. It was like 30 yards away, bedded. We kick him up again, dude. He's still not dead.
Oh, God.
He jumps up, runs around. As he takes off running, he's already too far for a shot. So I slam my bow into my bow hitch, grab my binos, and I just get on him. And I'm staying on him. And I see where he goes again and beds down. I'm kind of creeping through. I got my eyes on him. Don't want to spook him. Don't want to bump him again. Time is just progressing. And my buddy's like, dude, I'm going to go behind him. I'm going to sneak out. I got the wind this way. I'll go behind him and I'll push him towards you. So I'm like, Daniel, like, come on, man. Like, I have a bow and arrow, dude. This isn't a rifle hunt. This isn't New Mexico. Like,
Daniel's thinking whatever works, man. We're going to make it happen.
Yeah, that's exactly what he was thinking. And that's kudos to him because he kills a lot of shit. But he's like, yeah, well, I'll push him over here. He's like, he's probably dead anyway. We both saw him kind of dead, kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, he either bedded really weird or he went into a little ravine that we can't see. I'm not sure, but man, we could see the blood coming out behind his shoulder, and I'm just like, he's got to be dead. We spooked him twice already. He's got to be dead. So I told him, well, go ahead, go back. I'll walk you in. He put in his AirPod, and I walked him in on my phone. And I'm like, okay, he worked a big way around, and then so I'm telling him, Daniel, like 5 yards ahead of you, he should be in that little. And then the freaking deer stands up, bro. And I'm like, oh shit. So I grab my bow again. Daniel runs behind him like a freaking sheep herder dog and steers him to me. So this dang deer is like literally running towards me, man. Like not directly at me, but like a little bit to my right.
Right.
And so I crouch down in this grass. I have an arrow already knocked. I'm on my D loop, and this deer's like he's literally steering him right towards me. So he gets close enough. I draw back. I come up as he runs past me at like I don't know, probably 15 yards. Boom! Zip another one through him, bro.
Oh hell yeah!
So I have 2 arrows in him, and then I watch him bed down about 60 yards later. Daniel comes to me and he's like, dude, yeah, it's like, I can't believe that happened. He's like, you freaking hit him. I'm like, dude, I zipped it right through him, right through the shoulder again. And he's like, oh man, so we're high-fiving. I'm like, damn thing is right there, bro. I could see him. So he's like, well, put another one in him. I'm like, he's going to die, Daniel. And he's like, he hasn't died yet. He's already down. He's hurt. Just sneak up. I'll go ahead of him and I'll start recording and you come up and you shoot him. So I'm like, all right, cool. So Daniel gets in position. He starts recording. I sneak up to this deer, and I have all of this on video. So I sneak up to this deer, and I'm probably about 5 yards away. Full draw, get on him, boom, zip it right through him. Another shot, another good shot. The deer jumps up, takes like 2 or 3 steps running. Then it sees Daniel and freaking puts his head down and attacks him, dude.
No way.
It's all on video. He runs at
gotta
Daniel,
see it.
lowers his head. So from where I'm standing, all I see is this deer and Daniel in the middle of the horn, and he's running, and then all of a sudden it's like done. And
That's
Daniel's on the
wild.
floor. Daniel's on the floor on the left. The deer's on the floor on the right. So I'm like, holy shit. So I run over there. I'm like, bro. And he goes, that fucker attacked me. And so I'm like, are you okay? He goes, yeah, I'm fine. Everything's okay. Well, I looked down and I could see blood on his shoe and on his pants. So I'm like, dude, he got you. And he's like, what? And so I pull up his pants. I'm like, he got you, man. And it wasn't Daniel's blood. It was the deer's blood. It literally, he jumped out of the way just in time, and it rubbed on him as he jumped out of the way, dude.
That's freaking nuts.
It was insane. So I need somebody with some editing skills to put this on, because I don't want to do it an injustice.
No, absolutely not. We'll talk about that, because that needs to be out. People need to see that. That's incredible.
So the video's too fast, but he was able to take still shots on it. So you can actually see as he's falling, the footage, you can see his foot rubbed up against the deer. Like, oh, dude, it is epic. You see the deer looking at him, like coming right at him, bro. It is so fucking cool.
That is sweet. What an awesome experience that is, man.
Yeah. So that's my best for sure so far.
I don't know if anybody's going to be able to top that. That's once in a 100 lifetimes.
Oh, bro, you'll never, ever. I mean, possibly never say never, but yeah, I'm not counting on it.
No. If that happens to you again, you need to go buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah, I'm not planning on it, so it's all good. But yeah, that was a phenomenal experience. So I have his horns. I actually got that deer mounted.
I would have too. That's way too cool, man.
First mount I've ever done in my life, and that was him. So I got him home not too long ago.
That's awesome, man. Another thing, so we're talking about getting you up for whitetail. I got to see this video. You need to remind me. I 100% am going to have to send you a little shadow box so you can frame your napkin as well. That's got to be thrown up on the wall.
Yeah, I have it, dude. I have it.
Perfect. This has been awesome. End of the day, if you don't have a bow hitch yet, you need to go get one, whether it be to run alcohol and power tools or have deer run into you or your buddies. Definitely, if you're hunting with one, apparently you need to take a buddy you don't like, because you might get charged with a deer or charged by a deer.
Dude, it was so cool.
No, that's awesome, man. End of the day, it makes your experience so much better. Chances are you're probably not going to run into that experience, but you're going to be able to make new experiences of your own. Man, Armando, I loved having you on. This has been absolutely phenomenal, and I wish nothing but the best for you.
Hey, thank you, guys. Thanks for giving it a shot, because it's something new, it's something different, and a lot of people don't. So I appreciate it, and I'm glad that you found the success that we thought you would with it.
Oh, absolutely, brother.
Cool. No, I appreciate it. You guys keep an eye out for the doe tags. The doe giveaway. You guys kill them does this year up in Michigan and get yourself in to win a bow hitch package.
That's a fact.
Yep.
Thank you guys for all tuning in. Be ready for our next episode, and hopefully you enjoyed everything you heard here today.